Wellsted. James, thanks very much for talking to us on the program.
Thanks, Leanne.
James, just talk to us about what's happening at the mine currently.
Well, currently the operations are suspended and everybody's gone home. As you said, we restored power at 2:30 this morning, or Eskom restored power, and then we were able to start bringing our employees up, and we did that between about 3 and 5 a.m. They obviously then went to have a shower, and we did medical examinations, and they were reunited with their families, and we also provided trauma counseling for themselves and their families. But the operations will be closed till Monday, so they will all be at home by now.
Okay, so you're saying basically what AMCU are calling for is that the mine should be closed until a full investigation has been conducted, and that there shouldn't be any operations. But you're saying you're hoping Monday operations will begin again?
That's right. I mean, an investigation will happen anyway, together with the unions and the DMR. But as you said, I mean, the incident was caused by a severe and violent storm, and very unusual, which knocked out not only the main power line to the operations, but also the backup power line. And that meant that we had no power coming from Eskom at all. We did have generators, backup generators, each of the shafts, and at 4 shaft and number 1 shaft, we were able to hoist the people with those backup generators. But unfortunately, at number 3 shaft, the power surge that resulted from the storm, and with the lines being knocked over, affected some of the equipment. So the generator and the hoist, or the winder, which has got quite sensitive software, we weren't able to get those two to work together efficiently.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people blaming the fact that the generators were faulty, they weren't in good working condition, and they weren't adequate for the mine. What do you have to say to that?
Well, I mean, the generators we had match exactly the winders in terms of the required power. But as I said, I mean, as you may know, if you get a lightning strike or something on your house, it can knock out all of your TV, DSTV, Wi-Fi, etc. And it's a similar situation. You had a massive power surge, which affected the generator and the software on the winder. So, you know, it's a very unusual event. And I think that management actually did very well to contain the risk and to get the people out in the time that they did.
Yeah, James, let's talk about the number of miners that were actually underground. It was initially thought that there were about 900 and something, 90 something. Then it was about 1,000, but it's actually now discovered that there were around about 1,400 workers trapped underground. How did these numbers get confused along the line? How is it that it wasn't known how many people were actually underground at that time?
I think it's more the journalists getting confused than us. There were only 955 employees that were trapped at 3 shaft for that extended period. I think what's happened is people have added together the 272 miners at 4 shaft, which, as I say, we hoisted soon after the incident, and then the additional 64 miners that we brought up from number 1 shaft that morning. So the confusion is more, I think, in the people looking at the numbers.
So for your side, the numbers are still accurate, that it was the number that we've been reporting on and not the 1,400 that suddenly occurred. You're saying that as soon as the incident happened on the Wednesday night, these miners were hoisted up. So they weren't underground, they were fine.
Yeah. No, all of the people we thought were there, we accounted for today, and we knew that we've got everybody up. So we were very confident with the numbers that we had.
I want to talk more about the communication, however, because the communication that we were getting from you and from your colleagues was that the miners were getting food, that they were getting water, and that you were communicating with them. However, This morning, we chatted to the miners themselves. What they had to say was a completely different story, that there was no communication. They only received water at midnight this evening, and the food that was being sent down was nowhere near enough, if it in fact did even reach them. So it's a bit difficult. Even the minister is a bit confused as to a bit of information that's been coming out, that it doesn't seem that what you've been telling us is actually true.
Listen, we had the same situation with the NUM yesterday, where they also accused us of not being in contact with the employees. We took them to the control room and they actually spoke to some of the employees underground. We sent down more than a ton of food for the employees. So, while I can't vouch for your sources, I can vouch for the fact that we can account for the fact that comms were enabled and that we send food and water down.
Yeah, our sources are your miners, James. That's who our sources are. We were speaking to the miners as they came up from underground. Can I ask you a question? Do you honestly believe as a mine that your safety standards are up to scratch, that you feel provisions are made for an eventuality where an event like this takes place? Are you quite satisfied that everything is fine?
I mean, we obviously will look at this incident and see what we could do better, but certainly the policies and procedures that we had in place were followed, and we had adequately prepared for an outage and had adequately powered generators to run the hoists. But as I said, this is an unusual event where all the power was knocked out, and the power surge resulted in the equipment faulting. So, that's a different story, and we'll obviously investigate that. In terms of safety, we are continually trying to improve our safety record. It's obviously a challenging environment to work in, and I think that the improvements over the last 10 years have been quite substantial. But yes, we will continue to try and improve our safety record.
All right, James, let's leave it there for this morning. Thanks for talking to us. James Wellsted, of course, is the spokesperson for Sibanye Gold, the mine, Sibanye Stillwater, where those miners were trapped below the ground, but they are now safely above ground. And as you can hear, investigations and lots of questions still need to be answered surrounding this issue.